Okay, so just woke up. Perfect time to get into the video. Got some energy, got my drink. Yesterday was a long day for me, so if my voice seems a bit off at any time, apologies. Spent like 5 hours on a call, so it's pretty rough. Anyways, so the rule of two, okay? If you guys are Star Wars fans, you guys will appreciate the rule of two, Hopefully you guys enjoyed the dark side and Sith Lords and stuff. But I wanted to make this video particularly to amplify from the previous video I uploaded, talking about a few different subjects. But the rule of two I wanted to like kind of highlight here. Like I said, the other video, I wasn't gonna post it, but I did for BJ in the Discord. But this is one of the things that I wanted to like talk more about. And the rule of two is something that's really powerful, and I'll get into other things where like it comes up um, in chess and games and stuff like that. But why am I going to wanting to talk about the rule of two? The thing about the rule of two is a lot of people don't know how to write their list correctly, and a lot of people really start bringing like three of everything, right? Whatever's good, bring three, bring three, bring three of these, bring three of these, bring like, and it gets out of hand, and people that make lists understand when to take three O's, when to take two O's, and when to take one O's. And some armies have one of like everything, or a lot of one O's. Some armies have a lot of two O's, and some armies have more three O's. Okay, and which units they have differs on the type of list it is, and the backbone of the list, and how much diversity it has, and how many options it has. So that's why I want to talk about this video, talk about the rule of two and why it's important. So yeah, that's a little bit of the introduction there. So you can find the rule of two in specifically chess and then trading card games. Chess, okay, you have two knights, two bishops, two rooks, and then you have a bunch of pawns, and then you're a queen and a king. Okay, the importance of this in chess is you in certain matchups or against certain players or openings, you actually want to sacrifice your knights earlier or your bishops earlier, or you might be a player that likes to utilize the bishops more than the knights and are better with that piece than other pieces. And the rooks again the same thing, right? So there's no three ofs in chess, okay, unless you can upgrade a pawn, but that's a different subject. So the main thing is that the chess follows the rule of two. Okay, this is important because chess is like one of the most balanced games and fair games, and there's so much going on in it. And the key thing is that it has two of its key pieces, and then it has a single queen piece and a single king piece and pawns. So it kind of has all the pieces, but the perfect amount of every single piece. When you go into a certain matchup, like let's say world leaders, I much rather have my rooks, which are, let's say, Redemptor Dreadnoughts with -1 damage, really durable, hold a flank, and can, kind of tough to move, but when they get to places, they're really, really hard to shift as well. The other thing is maybe you have knights, right? Some units that can maybe like jump around and fly, like teleport up and down, whatever it is. That can be useful. And then bishops are like your long range shooting units, right? Against world leaders, I'm going to value my Redemptor Dreadnoughts or my rooks more than units like my bishops that are long range shooting, because my pawns and my short range shooting, or even my queen piece and my knight piece, can take stuff out. Like, I don't have to shoot something really, really far because the world leaders are coming near me. If they're coming near me, the bishop almost acts the same as a pawn, has a little bit more mobility, or the knight's going to be more useful because the knight can kind of hop from place to place and take out things um, in like more different places, and be more useful. Like that's why the knight, if you're playing Grey Knights against world leaders, you can really just teleport, find angles, and shoot things. But if you're playing guns, they can hide behind walls. They can kind of just run at you, and then your tank doesn't want to move up and shoot, because if it moves up, it's going to do some damage. But then the world leaders will take it out and launch towards your line. Right, and then the same thing with the pawns. The pawns are the things that you want to sacrifice, so you have a bunch of MSU scoring units and all this stuff. Okay, so that's the rule of two in chess. Because chess only has two of everything, pretty much. That's a key takeaway, that this rule is good. Okay, let's talk about trading card games. This is something that I went to play at the regional level, national level. Would have went to Worlds as well back in the day, but ended up not going. The point is that in trading card games, you usually have in Yu-Gi-Oh, okay, you have 3 ofs in your deck. In Magic the Gathering, you have 4 ofs in your deck at most. Okay, that's fine. But let's just say it's a 3 of or a 4 of. Let's say Warhammer changes something that you can have 4 ofs. It's totally cool. But the point is, you have multiples of X card in your deck. Okay, what happens in these games, specifically Yu-Gi-Oh, more importantly, is they will limit or ban cards. So they will limit you, so you can only take 2 of them, you can only take 1 of them, or they'll completely ban the card. In Warhammer, if GW decided tomorrow, hey, the problem isn't that the unit is like crazy powerful. The problem occurs when people start spamming like 3 Vindicators, 3 Bliss's Dreadnoughts. Okay? Instead of hurting it with points and nerfing it for all the other people who are bringing like 1 or 2 of them, let's limit how many you can bring. Let's limit the Vindicator and the Bliss's Dreadnought to 2 ofs. Okay? Some units, just like in card games, or some units, if you take 3 of them, they're much more powerful than taking 2 of them. Okay? Might be a little hard for you to understand, but there's like the power level of what something does, almost like a stat check. Taking one big unit that is really hard to shift, it's going to be hard to shift it if you use it correctly, but other times your opponent might just deal with it. Taking 2 of it, most people can deal with 2, 2 of a kind, but they can't deal with the 3rd one. That's the key thing. I can kill a Blissus, I can kill the second Blissus, right? But this also comes back to in Warhammer that you want to play around the rule of 3. But when it comes around to having the 3rd one, that's when things get really difficult, and people feel a lot of leeway losing like the typical 3 Hecaton build in Votann. They don't mind losing the first Hecaton. Like, they honestly don't feel bad at all if they have 3 of them. The other 2, they're like, oh yeah, you kill 1 Hecaton, no problem, I have 2 more, and they'll probably survive the whole game. Okay, if I lose 2 of them, I still have the 3rd one almost guaranteed for the whole game. So it's perfectly fine. But what happens is when you take 2 of something, okay, you can't just lose 1, because you lose like 50% of total sum, and the second one can only do so much, and your opponent can eventually deal with it. Sometimes you might even lose both Hecatons in the same turn. But you have the 3rd one, so it's good. So having 3 of something is much more powerful compared to having 2 of something, okay, in terms of like how impactful it is. Okay, so it's kind of like, pretend like the shape of a triangle is really, really strong. This is weird, but if you can make a triangle, it's way stronger than any other shape, pretty much. So that's important to understand. The next thing is, in card games, people take 1 ofs, they take 2 ofs, and they take 3 ofs. Okay, but they pick and choose. In Warhammer, a lot of people just go, no, this is the best thing. We're going to take 3 Sword Brothers. We're going to take 3 Vindicators, 3 Bliss's Dreadnoughts, right? It's always like, let's just take 3 of it. Why not? Take 3 of it. It's like, okay. Well, when you're creating a list and you're trying to like actually make it very good, what you want to focus on is take 2 of everything, because that is the appropriate number, and you can use that tool specifically any way you want. Okay, and you'll have multiple uses from it. When you take one of something, you only have a one-time use, and you have to make it work. So this is the big difference. When you have three of something, you always have access to it, and you're actually kind of relying around it. So if your build around is around the three indicators, that's your list build, then taking a three of is going to be list defining. Taking a two of something is going to allow you to have multiple uses out of it. It is not a build around, but it is a good supplement to your army. Taking a one of something is a technical piece to use as, to specifically deal with a single target. Like the Vindicator really can take out a big greater demon and do a lot of damage to it. It can come up the board, act as a durable 2-up save. T11 with smoke and armor contempt can survive and hold the flank. And right, so this is like the ways to use it. So choosing if you want to take one of something, or two of something, and three of something, you really want to consider, am I building around this unit? If the answer is no, don't take three of them. Okay, if you're taking one of something, you have to understand what matchups is this useful in, why am I taking it, or should I remove this and add in more things that supplement my army. Okay, for example, my recent coaching call, basically we talked about, well, instead of taking one Vindicator, right, that's a technical piece, we take out the one Vindicator, it's 185 points now, and you can take a two of something. You can take like two jump packs, or you can take a different technical piece if you wanted to, but specifically you can break the one big thing into two of something else, and it will supplement your army a lot better. Okay, because you need to kind of bolster your army. So let's pretend you're taking three Vindicators. Okay, you take three Vindicators, that's your build around. Now you need to find pieces that are going to supplement your Vindicators. When you're doing this, you have to go and find like some trash units, some screening units, maybe tech marines to buff, whatever it is. And this is when you don't take the one of a storm raven gunship. I mean, that's more of a really expensive piece, but you don't take that one lone op assassin, or you don't take the one lone op combi lieutenant, because that's a technical piece. That's why you only run one of them. They do a specific job, and or a special character, and you take that special character out, or the combi lieutenant, etc., and you put in two of something to supplement your weaknesses. Your weaknesses when you're bringing three Vindicators are probably going to be how many screens you have, how much close combat you have to deal with your opponents that are hiding behind walls that the Vindicators don't have access to. Okay, so that's what you want to look at in the rule of two. So the rule of two is really, really powerful, and the better you get at list making, the more you realize you only want to take two of something. The best lists that you'll normally see, let's go look at Death Watch. And this is not the best list, but this is an example. The Death Watch list that won LV or whatever it was only took two Terminators, not three. Okay, that's because it wasn't a build around the Terminators. It was a build around the kill teams that he had, and or just two of everything, right? And it kind of fit together really nicely. Looking at looking at Grey Knights. A lot of people took like 4, 6 Dread Knights, 5 Dread Knights, right? Some people only took 2, and then they had 2 Terminators, 2 Dread Knights, 2 everything, and you could say it's a very mixed arms army. But if we get out of the discussion about playing a army that has melee and shooting, you can go to Orcs. This is the big one. When you go to Orcs and you look at Tank Bustas and Ludas and all of these things, you'll notice that the actual top elite players, they all know you can take 3 of it. But what they try to do is cut 3 ofs and put 2 ofs in, because they understand that this is too much. I only need these on turn 3 and 4. Okay, I don't need my Tank Bustas around on turn 5, and I don't need them around on turn 1. Because on turn 1 I have the other 2. There's nothing going on turn 1. On turn 2, we're still not trying to engage our opponent very heavily, so we're going to just trade with our skirmish units. On turn 3 and 4, that's when I need my tank busters and my ludas. Turn 5, I don't need them. So this brings you to basically, hey, I don't need a 3 of these units, because technically the ludas and the tank busters, I have 4 in total that shoot really hard units. Okay, so that goes into the list building of that. So coming from Yu-Gi-Oh! And card games, you have to really tailor your list to, do I take 2 of these? Do I take 1 of these? And what is the reason? Do I even need the Vindicator in the first place? Okay, if I'm a really good pilot, do I need it? If I'm struggling against a certain matchup like World Eaters, you know, maybe I do take out that Vindicator and put in a Redemptive Dreadnought, because it fills the job that I need to be doing, which is dealing with World Eaters and Custodies and things that are 2 damage but, you know, can't get through a 2-up save, -1 damage Redemptive Dreadnought. And you can find yourself like kind of filling that out. You can also be like, well, usually I have to send a unit out 1 at a time, so I'm running multiple MSU units, like 2 jump pack units, to go out, attack something. Well, what if I don't do that? I take those 2 out, and that's 180 points, and I find some other points, and I take a Redemptive Dreadnought, right? So you kind of take a 1 of a technical piece that is going to be useful, and you will use it like an anvil. Instead of having 2 units going turn by turn, you send 1 unit out that's more durable and stands on an objective and scores you points. And some matchups, it's not going to be able to do that, like against Tau. It will just get blown off the table. But you're not trying to deal with Tau. You're trying to deal with World Leaders specifically, or Custodies, right? So there's something that you can kind of like think about and go on from there, basically. So this is the next slide right here. Okay, spamming units and talking about like unbeatable lists and like broken units, and these are some of the armies you're gonna see in the meta recently, and you know, Emperor's Children coming out, and spamming units. Okay, so let's talk about these things. Why do people spam units? Okay, and why do pros take 3-ofs? Okay, let's talk about that point first. The biggest thing of why, you know, pros, let's not even call them pros, let's just call them good players take 3-ofs, and why do and what happens in Warhammer when a new detachment comes out or something new comes out. The best thing to do is take 3 tank busters, take 3 noise marines, take 3 vindicators, whatever the build is. The reason why you do this, why I tell you guys to usually take 3 of something when you're first testing a new unit out, is because it's new. You don't know how impactful it's going to be and how much of it do you need, okay? And how the list plays with 3 vindicators. So that's why you want to take 3. And when the pros go to a big tournament, the first thing they want to test and do is to say that, okay, I don't have enough testing against like really good players in an actual tournament setting on like 8 different maps with this army. So am I gonna take 2 of something and that might reduce my list's total power, or I'm gonna take 3 of it and I'm gonna go to the event, I'm gonna do really well with it, and I know for a fact that it's gonna pay off no matter what. So no matter what happens, taking 3 Vindicators or Tank Busters or Noise Marines will 100% do their job, because you're not trying to optimize your list right now. You're trying to amplify how much power it has. This is why when you look at the average player base, or even like lower than average, when they take 3 of something or 3 of their best unit, the power level of their army goes up. Okay, seeing 3 Vindicators across from your 30 possessed from you is tough, because your pilot skill can't deal with it, and your opponent's list, who's bringing the 3 Vindicators, their pilot skill cannot actually they can't use 2 of them correctly, so they need 3. They start losing them. So even Votan players, you know, have 3 Hecatons still, or 3 units of Berserkers, or you know, whatever the case is, because they just they want to keep using their best unit, and the best unit in their codex is going to always perform. Okay, but at the professional level, after these people go win an event, they go to an event, they win it or they top it right at the get-go, and everybody starts copying their lists. Okay, so now everybody's taking their exact list and taking 3 tank bustas, 3 of these, and YouTube videos come out saying, oh, these are OP, people are spamming them. That's totally fine. It's a build around, I get it. But then you listen to like some podcasts, or you have you ask questions about the actual pilot who played it, or you listen to like Brad Chester, Art of War, whoever, and they come out and say, you know what, I don't need 3 tank bustas. I only need 2 of them, or only need 1 of them, because I don't need it. I need other pieces in my army to do other things, and the list actually becomes powerful overall, and can deal with different situations, because like I'm gonna pilot the list better, basically. Okay, so ultimately what ends up happening is they cut 3 ofs into 2 ofs. They take different units that they didn't take before, and they play the game much better. That's basically what happens, and why pros take 3 ofs at the very beginning. And then a lot of the people who are not list builders, and I want you guys to understand that there's a difference between being a very good pilot and being a very good list writer. Okay, and there's a rare few who can do both, like me. Okay, not to like harp on myself, but coming from a trading card game background and mathematics, and being super competitive my whole life, I'm one of the people that actually is viable at creating a list, because I go through, that's why I teach you guys the fundamentals of list creating, how to play the game, how to attack the game, how to attack certain lists, have technical pieces, all this stuff. You have to understand what's going into it and when to use certain things. And when you see some people like Mark Perry specifically bring out a crazy list with some weird units, like 3 units of commandos, or like 60 Gretchen, it's like, what is this man doing? Why is he doing this? If you look at my list, why am I bringing 4 units of MSU Plague Marines and CSM? It looks really weird to people. They're like, what the hell? I've never seen a list like this before. Or I was on annual day, like basically day 1. I was on Desolation Marines the entire time. So all the Space Marine stuff, like I've done. And the reason for this is because I'm understanding the list itself, the design of it, and how to amplify it to its max potential. And then what weaknesses does it have? How much do I need of something? And then cutting certain pieces so the list still plays proficiently, but I don't have access tank bustas or vindicators, and I have to use the tools I have much more carefully and in unique situations, and get basically unique situations, keep them alive longer. This is when I tell you guys to always bring a queen piece, because it does so much damage, and it makes your games a lot easier. And when I bring a queen piece, I also keep it alive a lot longer than some people. People ask me when I went to my last RTT and I went to a different tournament, they're like, how the hell are you tabling some people, and how did your opponent not kill your queen piece? And I'm like, well, I just played better Warhammer. I made sure they couldn't get to me, and I made sure I used my queen piece from like cutting angles, and either using it really aggressively turn 1, where my opponent, I can move block them with other pieces, saving it for like turn 2 or 3, and like kind of picking away at the edges of the board. And by the end of the game, I still had it on the board, and I took out that unit took out 5 units of my opponent's army, like 5 like medium-ish units, and my opponent was tabled. So that's what happens. Okay, so when do you guys want to spam these units? Okay, when to spam? You should spam units when you are learning what the unit does. So like Noise Marines are just coming out, you should take 3 of them. Not because that's the appropriate number, most likely. Well, that is a very good number. It's a very good data sheet. But some of the lists you'll see out there for Noise Marines or for Emperor's Children, they're only going to take 2 Noise Marines. You have to understand, why did they take 2 of them, and how are they going to use it, and why are they taking 3 of something, and why is somebody only taking 1 noise marine or 0 noise marines. Okay. Same thing with the Vindicators. Why are people all of a sudden now taking 1 Vindicator, not 3 Vindicators? And why is the Ultramarine list taking 3 Vindicators? Okay. Is it skewing? Yes. The Ultramarine list is skewing. Is it a hull spam? Yes. It's really relying on 2-up save, high toughness, durable units with long range anti-tank profiles. It's not exactly playing Warhammer with all the pieces. It's just sitting there with guns pointing at your face and like guard. That's all it's doing. Okay, so that's kind of when you spam 3-ofs to test. Okay, you test it, or you take 3-ofs and you build around it, saying, how can I get this unit to perform for like multiple turns? How do I invest all of my points into all 3 Vindicators, all 3 Tank Busters, get the most out of it, get the most out of the Noise Marines? If you're playing the Sustain Crit 5 detachment, the Noise Marines have significantly higher value. If you're playing the melee detachments, the Noise Marines have less value, so you probably want to cut 1 unit of Noise Marines. And a lot of people are going to ask, well, I want to run the Elite Blade unit. I forget what it's called, but the 3-mans and the 6-mans. Well, one of the ways to do that is cut the Noise Marines and take those guys instead. So cut 1 Noise Marine, put in 1 of those. Easy fix, and that will actually be better than running 3 Noise Marines, having 2 of it. Same thing with Christians of Bile. People are running like 30 possessed all over the board. 30 possessed was something that was useful beforehand. It's a table U list, and a lot of these lists are designed to do particular things, either table you off the basic table you, or to like really be resilient, or counter certain matchups, which comes back to rock paper scissors. Okay, the meta right now in a lot of the game is like, oh, did you bring Horde? Did I bring enough things to kill Horde? Or did I bring a durable list that has durability but doesn't have enough damage output, and the Horde army just walked all over me? Okay, that's something that you have to like consider. So rock paper scissors. Okay, I don't want to play rock paper scissors. I want to see what you threw out. Did you throw out rock, paper, or scissor? And I want to have, I want to combine the other 2. Like you throw out a scissor, I'm going to combine the rock with the paper to smash your scissor. Okay, and my paper will like be slightly injured, but the rock that's in it will destroy your scissor perfectly fine. Okay, so that's something that you can basically do. You can use the paper that you have, and you can kind of like crunch it up, and it'll become the shape of a rock, and you can destroy the scissor because ultimately now this is a rock, right? You guys paint. You guys could take that paper, crunch it up, paint over it, make it look like a rock. End of story. You can't do that with everything if it's not flexible. So having a more flexible list with the rule of 2 is much more stronger overall than playing with a rule of 3 and taking 3 of and spamming stuff. Now everything comes at a price. This is a key point on this slide, because if you take 3 Vindicators, 3 Ballistic Dreadnoughts, you're running out of points. Okay, you have clear weaknesses. That list can only do so much. It can only move 10 inches back and forth with these giant hulls. It can't go through walls, and the rest of the points are in Guilliman and Calgar. Okay, that's basically the whole list. There is nothing else in the list. So there's no like jump pack, no close combat that can move really quickly. It is Gladius, but guess what? Do they really want to send Guilliman? That's the unit they want to send through a wall to go kill something? That's not what they want to do. They're not going to sacrifice Guilliman to go kill 5 intercessors sitting on an objective behind a wall. Okay? They're not going to send Guilliman straight into the opponent's face when he's trying to buff up the Vindicators and keep everything survival, abusing strats. Same thing with Calgar. They're not going to send Calgar up because he's giving them command points, and they're trying to outlast you, and then eventually overtake you on like turn 4 and 5. Creation of Bile, if you move block them, if you have 10,000 small MSU units, that can just walk in front of them. Their possessed can only kill 1 unit, and then they're gonna sacrifice 10 possessed, and they're very weak to damage 3. Noise Marines, right? This Emperor's Shoulder is a very combat heavy army, and if you bring a 10 Judicator or a Judicator plus like 10 melee guys or 6 Blade Guard, you will kill the Emperor's Shoulder army. They're basically world leaders, but instead of having damage 2, they basically have like a lot of damage 1 with high AP. And you'll basically kill them because they don't have fight first. They don't have ways to get around fight first. They have MSU units. They're MSU melee, and they're gonna get picked up. Okay. And then orcs just shoot really hard. If you take too much shooting, you have less combat, etc. So everything comes at a price. When you're looking at your opponent's list or building your own list, consider what are my weaknesses? What am I having a difficult time dealing with? Is it people behind walls? Do I have ways to deal with that? For how many turns do I have ways to deal with it? Can I deal with it the entire time? Or am I really trying to, like in card games, you're really trying to find that one secret piece you have that's meant to go deal with your opponent? For example, if in Warhammer you have Desolation Marines to go indirect the unit behind the wall. If it fails you, you might want to pop strats into it to guarantee that you're getting the value, because you cannot let your opponent score primary. If it's a Redemptive Dreadnought, you might want to use it, you can't use it super aggressively in the early turns, because if the World Leader player just kills it immediately on turn 1 or turn 2, he's going to have a much easier time playing turns 3, 4, 5. The longer you hold on to the Redemptive Dreadnought and kind of like send it out on turn 3, then it's going to get value on turn 3, turn 4, and turn 5, because your opponent's going to have already lost pieces at the beginning of the game, trying to trade and do all this stuff. Okay, and he's going to have to play around the fact that you have a Redemptor. Okay, that's the important parts. Cool. So that's everything that I want to say about this. That these lists have weaknesses. They're being spammed. It's very rock, paper, scissors. And the pros know this, but the average player base doesn't know how to pilot these lists properly. And the average player base is you're going to be better off running 3 of everything if you're like just bad, but you understand you're playing a worse list. Or the list is doing everything for you. You're not doing anything for the list. Okay? So there's that. Okay, so here we're going to talk about the final slide. Okay, got this little dinosaur, Thesaurus. This is why when I talk about Space Marines, or I coach you guys on different armies, whether it be orcs, elves, Space Marines, whatever, demons, Votan, etc. The point is, this is what I'm going to get to. This is a very cool idea. This is something that's really strong. Most people on Discords in the community, even professional players themselves, not all the professional players, but some of the professional players, they haven't actually put these models on the table all the time. And like Art of War probably has used everything, as you can see in their videos and in their reviews and stuff. I have used everything, but other people haven't. Most of the people, even you guys, haven't used every single data sheet. Okay, now Space Marines have a lot of data sheets, so I'm using this as an example, because most people understand what Space Marines are, and the meta shifts around Space Marines like night and day, every single update sometimes. So we're gonna look at this. Number 1, ATV and Scouts. You'll notice that more people are taking ATVs because Scouts went up again 10 points more. Okay. Scouts are better than ATVs are because they can teleport, they have their infantry, etc. And they can teleport, basically is what it comes down to. But because now they're more expensive than the ATV, and because Space Marines have lost hundreds and hundreds of points over the course of 10th edition, we've been forced to take out our Scouts, put in cheaper units to save those points. Okay, that's basically what's happened. The other thing is Eradicators. If you look here, Eradicators were basically chapter approved, A tier, really, really good unit, company heroes, and all of this stuff. Blade Guard, we're up here. Okay. This is also this is the beginning. So Blade Guard were actually not chapter approved, but they are chapter approved. Aggressors were up here, Inceptors are up here. Now, currently in the meta, even though Inceptors came down in points and are 100% a really good unit, nobody takes them. Nobody takes Eradicators. You actually never see Eradicators ever at the moment. Infiltrators. This is a unit that you consider taking or not taking, even though it was in the Angels of Death tier. Eliminators. I've never seen an Eliminator on the table, but guess what? It's in the chapter approved, because when I'm talking about all these different data sheets, okay, these data sheets are actually all useful. The problem is you're just never going to take them because you're taking other things, or you're taking 2 scouts or 3 scouts. Okay, you're taking multiples of something else to do that job for you. So you really want to do is, what my point of this whole section here is, look at these data sheets and look at your tier list, whatever army you're playing. Start taking the B tier, C tier units. And the way you go about it is everything that you were taking in 3-ofs, if you're taking 3 units of Eradicators, if you're taking 3 Vindicators, whatever it was, cut the Ballistas, cut the Vindicator, and cut your 3rd unit of Scouts. You probably don't run 3rd unit of Scouts, but, cut 3rd jump pack unit if you're playing Blood Angels or something. And take these things and start taking 1 Outrider squad, 1 Suppressor squad, 1 5-man Terminator squad, or any of these random things. Start putting 1 of these into your list, and what you're going to end up with is you cut 2 or 3 of your 3-ofs, most likely 2 of your 3-ofs, and you put in 3 to 4 of these smaller cheap units down here, and you start playing with them. You take 1 ATV, you take 1 Blade Guard 3-man, you take 1 Outrider, you take 1 Eliminator squad. Okay, and what happens is you start to actually utilize these different data sheets, and you get to learn, was it useful? The other thing you can do, this is where my Plague Marines come in, Hellblasters in Ultramarines, or in Space Marines. If I bring Hellblasters, people are going to be like, why are you bringing Hellblasters? They're not good. Okay, everybody kind of wants to make them work. They end up not working, etc. The thing is, if I bring 1 Hellblaster squad, which is a 5-of, if I bring 1 Jump Pack Intercessor squad, which is a 5-of, if I bring 1 Outrider squad, all these pieces do the same job, but a little bit differently. The Jump Pack squad hits less hard than the Outrider squad, but it can go through walls. But the Outrider squad hits a little bit harder and is a little bit more durable with 4 wounds apiece, higher toughness. Okay. And in certain detachments, it can go like automatic 6-inch, 8-inch on the advance and charge. Also has a little bit better shooting. The Hellblasters cost a little bit more, but they have higher AP and they're fully shooting based, and they come from reserves, shoot something. They can also rapid ingress from reserves, and your opponent goes, well, if I shoot you now, you're going to shoot on death. If I don't shoot you, your Hellblaster is standing in the open and perfectly fine. Okay, now in this case, okay, nobody argued that, oh, they're going to shoot me from the Vindicator from super far away and kill the Hellblasters. No, you're going to bring them in at the appropriate time in the appropriate place, okay, as you would with any unit. If you start using eliminators, okay, instead of infiltrators and instead of scouts, you start using eliminators. They can infiltrate, especially for a Deathwatch player. You can't take scouts, you can take eliminators instead. Now you have a unit that can, move out, shoot something, fire and fade back, and still provide some damage. It can come with anti-tank weapons. It can come with precision, which might introduce some different problems to your opponent. It can also move out, shoot, and then move again into your opponent's face to move block turn 1. Something that some other units can't really do unless you advance them. Right, so that's a useful piece right there. Then we have Infernus Marines if you wanted to do Battle Shock or Rapid Ingress it into the Eldar opponent's face, and then your Eldar player goes, oh shit, I didn't use my token to make sure that this unit was not able to be overwatched because your overwatch threat was on the other side, and now they're in a charging position. You Rapid Ingress the Flamer unit, and then you overwatch and Flamer your opponent, okay? Same thing with Blade Guard Veterans if you want to go for a heroic intervention play. So half of these are melee oriented, half of them are shooting oriented, but you can take these pieces and you'll have a lot more tools in your army, and you'll actually get to understand when or why this unit is good, okay? A lot of lists kind of finish around the 1600, 1700 point mark, and the list is 100% done, and it's basically fully playable. And then you kind of add in a few things like 3 extra units, 5 extra units, depending on the points, and round out the list just to make it 2,000 points. And this is when you would put in, you know, a bunch of these. And this goes back to the rule of 3 and the rule of 2. If you want to test the Infernus Marines very heavily, okay, take 3 times 5 and start to just use them as MSU units, do actions or rapid ingress to overwatch or go battle shock people, and understand what is this unit doing, when is it useful, why is it useful, how can I make use of it in other detachments. If a new detachment comes out all of a sudden, right, you want to be like, oh, I can use this. If Librarian Discipline comes out, Conclave, you want to be like, oh, I can take my Ultramarines character with Blade Guard, the Librarian, and take him with Blade Guard, and now they get the Psychic keyword, and that unit was already actually really solid in Gladius or other things, and now it's solid in this one, and it's getting buffed by the detachment. This is perfect. Okay, Desolation Marines. You know, you start taking Annual Siege Force, but you never used Desolation Marines before because they were sold out or they got nerfed. People in the Discourse told you not to take them, and then you came to me and I told you, hey, run them in Annual Siege Force, run them in this other detachment. They're really, really powerful. And you were like, oh my god, these things are really good. How about I go try them out in Gladius, try them out in the other detachments for a particular reason, not because you need them. Okay, I wouldn't advise you to take this unit in every single list. It's a one of, usually, and it's a key piece in attacking the game a different way, and your list design definitely shifts when 200 points of your army plus your strats are going into this unit. Okay, it's not a build around, but it is a kind of a key piece at the 200 premium mark, and it lives for all 5 turns, and it changes the way that you can play the game. So you can cut out some of your other units like your jump packs and save points and bolster up this playstyle. Okay, so that's pretty much what I want to talk about here, is really put these guys on the table, test everything out. Okay, the ATV is not in F tier. The Storm Guard veterans are not in F tier. Okay, now obviously this is before that the Reavers got changed and the Storm Guard got changed. But guess what? The ATV never got changed. It's still 60 points. Why is it not in Angels of Death tier or chapter approved or codex compliant? Because the people, there was no reason to take it. But that doesn't mean that it didn't have a role or a job it could do. Okay, that's the important part. It still is a piece in the codex, and you can use it however the hell you want. Just because there was no real outlet that was really making use of this, just like Blade Guard veterans, doesn't mean you can't take it. You can 100% take it. People just, the top tier players rather take something else instead. But if, you know, nowadays this thing actually has a role, and if you have no practice with everything that you have access to, you're not going to understand what to do when the meta shifts and when to do when points adjust. You're going to be sitting around thinking about, oh, let me just wait for the next John Lennon list. Let me wait till, you know, Jack Harper takes Blood Angels to an event so I can copy his list, his ideas. That's not what you want to be doing. Okay, I don't sit around waiting for these guys to go to events. I end up on the exact same lists, or, you know, my variation of that list immediately within the first like day, first week, whatever it is. right? And I really look at the game from different point of views. Like Yanari, Art of War didn't know Yanari was broken till a week later after going to an RTT. And then I knew it was the best thing in the book since day one. But I also knew, and people should know this, that Yanari has clear weaknesses. So it is really really annoying to play against, just like 30 Terminators, Grey Knights where they can miss Deimos away, teleport away. Really annoying for some people who can't handle that type of interaction. Um, and in this case, Yanari just does it so much better. But it has clear weaknesses. If you take a pure melee army against them, they're just gonna collapse and lose the game like basically all the time. Okay, if you want to tech pieces against them, like Desolation Marines, whatever, you can to kill a lot of their elves quicker and faster, and so on. So to sum up this part, go test out all of these units, take out your 3 ofs, go down to 2 ofs, okay, go down to 1 ofs if it's a technical piece. Don't take 2 Ballistic Dreadnoughts, don't take 2 Windicators, go down to the 1 Windicator because you're only going to use it to kill the anti-tank. And then be like, hey, if I take out the Windicator, I have enough points to take 2 units of MSU Eradicators. They still killed big stuff and monsters, but now I can use them in 2 different areas of the board. They're MSU, so when they die, I really don't care. And if I'm playing them in, Firestorm, where they're going to get +1 strength to their guns, where they have advanced to shoot at all times, I can actually make them move as fast as a transport, or as a hull, through walls even. And I don't mind if my opponent overwatches them. I don't mind if my opponent kills them the next turn, because I'm only going to lose 100 points. And it's hard for people to take out 10 small units, but it's really easy for people to take out 1 tank. Okay. Alright, so that's pretty much this video and the rule of 3. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully this was very useful for you guys to understand that you don't want to take 3 ofs, you want to go to 2 ofs. Why do you take 1 ofs? Why do I have 1 of something? And if I have a 3 of, it's a build around. Understand your opponent's key weaknesses in their list design. Understand what those units are trying to do. And understand how, if somebody does take a 3 of, what weaknesses do they now have? And what tools do they have in their list to deal with those weaknesses? Okay, if I take out all of your Votann Berserkers out of your list via magic poof, they're gone, they don't exist. All of your Votann lists are going to have no ways of dealing with things behind walls. Okay, now when I play WTC, I only bring 1 unit of Berserkers, 2 units of Berserkers, and I use them very carefully because they're actually a niche piece in my list to go deal with things behind walls. But I've said this before, you don't have to run them, but you have to come up with creative ways of how to deal with things that are on objectives behind walls. Or if you cannot deal with it, you have to expand on your game plan somewhere else. Okay? Complicated, but yeah. Alright guys. Enjoy. That's pretty much it. See you guys later.